Welcome into week 11 of Power 5 Picks. I am here with Ethan. A quick recap of last week. We are back into our winning ways. Ethan, you went 4-1. That brings your record to 33, 18, and 1, or you are up 13.2 units if you're placing every bet to win a unit. Phenomenal start for you. Again, back in your winning ways. And we are on the same exact plays last week, except that Penn State Ohio State game. You were on Ohio State. I was on those freaking frauds of Penn State. So unfortunately, I went 3-2, brings my record to 28 and 25. I am back in the winning column here, though. I am plus half a unit. So an absolute battle for me. But again, profit is profit. But yes, 13.2 units if you're following all of Ethan's plays on Power 5 Picks. So absolutely phenomenal. Ethan, welcome. How are you feeling about the week 11 of college football?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a broken record. I go 80% plus however many units on the show, and I break even last week in my actual bets that I play. So it's been, yeah, amazing on the show. A great year. I probably can't replicate it. But in real life, it's been my worst year of college football. So that sucks. But glad we're giving out winning picks here, both of us in the winning column. We loved last week. Heading into this week, not crazy about the slate, to be honest with you. A lot of like pretty solid games. Um, but as far as the ones we're talking about, my leans are I don't have any plays I'm as confident in as I was, say, SMU last week. So, but yeah, look to keep the winning ways going here in week 11. That's crazy. Coming to an end.
Yeah, it is. It can't come fast enough for my Michigan boys. If we're not covering the Michigan game, but they are 14-point dogs. Indiana haven't been underdog in general to the Hoosiers since 1968. So, yikes, we can say that. But we do have a much more action-packed weekend this week than we did last week. Much bigger and better games. I will give out one stat because we are talking about a lot of SEC teams and an SEC games. One little stat that I did find from one of the accounts that me and you do follow over on Twitter: SEC underdogs this year in SEC matchups are 29 and 13 against the spread, or 69%. So just keep that in mind. Again, I believe we have 3 SEC games we're talking about. So just keep in mind there might be some value on the dogs. I don't have to tell you because I know me and you love our underdogs anyways, but just keep that in mind for those of you watching and listening in. Let's start with a not ranked game, but a ranked team. We have number 17, Iowa State at Kansas. Iowa State is a 3-point favorite on the road. Over under is sitting at 50 points. Obviously, Iowa State coming off that loss, their first loss of the season last week to Texas Tech. They lost that game 23-22. And then we got Kansas, who I believe started off ranked this year. I think they're in the 20s, have now plummeted to 2-6 overall. But we are seeing one of those fishy lines here with a low spread against a crappy Kansas team against a ranked Iowa State team. So I'll send it to you. Who do you got in this Big 12 matchup?
Yeah, not a game I am crazy about whatsoever. We finally saw some of the ugly lines come to fruition last week and hit for us. And I'm going to ride it again here with Kansas plus the 3, but it would not shock me if Iowa State just boat races Kansas. So it's likely not a play that I'm actually going to get involved in, which I probably just should. I probably should trust what I'm saying right now because that's obviously where I've performed better. Um, but yeah, I mean, Iowa State played last week, lost on in the final minute to Texas Tech outright. I believe Iowa State was a double-digit favorite in that game, or pretty close to it. Lost outright, like you said, their first loss of the season. So I'm just kind of interested to see how they bounce back, which is why I'm a little bit nervous on this game. They could either feel sorry for themselves, come out sluggish. They could play tight because, they lost that buffer. Now, if they lose again, they're likely done for their playoff chances. So, it kind of depends. Or they come out with their hair on fire, thinking, at Kansas, we just got to bounce back, get a huge win, which is giving me trouble reading this game. But I'm just going to assume that they might come out a little tight, little sluggish early. And then Kansas, I mean, they had a bye last week, so they have extra time to prepare for this one. Obviously they wanted to beat Kansas State in that rivalry matchup. Fell just short, lost by 2 points. But now they have Iowa State, BYU, and Colorado as their next 3 games, all ranked opponents. like you said, they've plummeted to 2-6 on the year. They have nothing better to play for other than spoiler. And I think their goal at this point is to spoil as many of the playoff chances for those three ranked teams as possible. So I think Kansas comes out a little bit looser, more free at home. Weird line. Iowa State off their first loss. Lean Kansas plus the 3, but not crazy about that game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Simply for the ugly line. Kansas is not good. They do have athletes, but they're just not good. And yeah, I don't think they have any business being a 3 point dog here, even though Iowa State has kind of been, they've been one of those teams where I've been wanting to fade all year. I have faded them all year, and they proved me wrong. Finally got a win fading them again last week, their first loss. But I don't think they're I think they were like number 9 or number 11, something like that last week, and now they get to the 17. I don't know if this is an even ranked team in Iowa State. I'm just not super sold on them. Their best win before this was against I believe Iowa, who's not good. So I just think they're a little overrated. We are seeing the public heavy, obviously on the 7-1 number 17 team as just a small spread. I'm seeing 86% of the bets coming in on Iowa State. So I'm right there with you. I think Kansas is the play. It's an ugly game. The total is pretty low too. I maybe would lean the under in this at the 50. But yeah, for the graphic, I'm going to give out Kansas. Might get involved again, like you. I think I just got to trust my gut here and trust that the ugly works. Yeah, and I don't love this game. It's probably my least favorite of the board, but I'm going to go with Kansas on the spread. Moving from that game to a much bigger, much more important game, we have an SEC matchup. Number 3, Georgia traveling to number 16, Ole Miss. Georgia is just a 2.5 point favorite on the road, over under sitting at 54.5. I will take this one first. Georgia, they're 7-1. They had a good win against Texas. They lost to Alabama. Besides those two games, they have really, really struggled against these not so great opponents. I know they beat Florida last weekend, but it was close all game. They pulled away at the end. That's just a story with Georgia. We're seeing them just pull away at the end. They beat Kentucky by 1. They have ugly games, and we're seeing a weird line here. We can get Georgia under a field goal. I'm seeing 86% of bets coming in on the Bulldogs here. Yeah, it's pretty gross, but I'm gonna go with Ole Miss. As much as I think these are just a little pretty boy hottie toddies over here, like I think I don't know. I think they're gonna be pretty solid. I think they have a good chance of winning this game. They just murdered Arkansas last weekend, 63-31. They murdered South Carolina, who turns out to be a pretty decent team, 27-3. Um, I they're coming off a bye as well, which usually helps them out. Georgia coming off that rivalry game against Florida. I hate it, but I think it's the right side. I think Ole Miss either wins this game or comes down to a hopefully not a last second field goal that it goes against my way. But I think Ole Miss is going to have a great shot to win this game. So I'll take them. On the +2.5, again, it's an ugly line, but the line has moved down from the 3 that it opened at. So despite 86% of the bets coming in on Georgia, the line did move under that massive number of 3 to the 2.5, which is a very important betting number. So the fact that it dropped with all the bets coming in on Georgia makes me think that there's some money on Ole Miss. So I'll take them. We'll be betting Ole Miss, unfortunately, but I do think it is the right betting side.
Yeah, and like you said at the beginning of the show too, it does play into the SEC underdogs against the spread there. Unfortunately, I'm going to be on the public side, on the Georgia side. I'm going against the reverse line movement, something I almost never do. But you were kind of alluding to you weren't fully bought into the Georgia wins, and I'm just not fully bought into the Ole Miss wins. I mean, Arkansas, Oklahoma, yeah, South Carolina's looked like a much better team recently, but early October win for Ole Miss there, and it was off a loss to Kentucky. So I don't know. I just don't give them a ton of credit for those 3 wins, and those are by far the best teams that they've beat. They lost to LSU in that overtime game. They lost to Kentucky. Um, and really, I mean, at a 2.5 point spread, it's really just kind of pick the winner in this game. Obviously, yeah, Georgia could be down 1, kick a game-winning field goal. You get the money with the 2.5, but um, it's just hard for me to see Georgia losing this one. I think we both liked Florida last week. We thought Georgia was in a bad spot off the Texas win, even though they had a bye. And then Ole Miss on deck, then Tennessee. I just think Georgia is the more experienced team here. after getting left out of the playoff last year. I just think they're poised to finish the season with the one loss to Alabama and not even give any doubt to their place in the 12-man playoff. Yeah, I don't know. I just, you know, in a pick a winner type game, if I was laying much more than a field goal, I'd probably be on the Ole Miss side. I just don't see Georgia losing the game. So for that reason, I am going to lean the Bulldogs on the road. Ultimately, just think they're quite a bit better than what Ole Miss is.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tough time arguing against that. Ole Miss, I do think is a little flashy. I don't like their head coach. Don't know if I trust him, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I do like the over as well. That's a 54.5 point total, which for Georgia's high, which for Ole Miss is really low. These two teams don't play much. They did play last year. Georgia won the game 52-17. And the last time before that they played was 2016. So it means absolutely nothing. But Ole Miss won that game 45-14. So last two matchups have been pretty high scoring. Again, there's 8 years of difference between those two games, but don't mind the over in this. I think it could be a pretty competitive and high scoring game. Let's go to our boys in Boulder, Colorado. We have not talked about these guys in a while, but they have found themselves ranked number 20. They're coming off a bye as well. They are traveling to the Texas Tech Red Raiders that we just mentioned, who knocked off Iowa State. Again, Texas Tech is a 3.5 point home dog. Over under sitting at 62.5. I'm going to send it to you to talk about Dion and those Buffaloes of Colorado.
Yeah, I don't like this game either, but I think I like Colorado. I think it's the first time on the show ever that I have given out Colorado, but it is my lean here, and I just hate that Texas Tech pulled off that win last week. I think if they lost in close fashion, I'd love Texas Tech this week. You'd probably be getting closer to a +6 on them. But I think just pulling off that late upset win there, I just don't love the spot. Colorado off a bye. I also don't love that they just came into the rankings because I know you and I kind of like to fade the team into the rankings. They're now a little bit more circled, but I don't know. I mean, last year I don't think I ever could have got on Colorado just with they're still extremely public, one of the most public teams. But last year, I mean, that was like the most public team ever. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you'll ever find me putting my money on Colorado when I'm seeing 92% is on them. But I just don't love the spot for Texas Tech at all here. I know they're at home, but off the big emotional win, I don't know. I just don't love that game. I hate doing it, but yeah, I guess I'm gonna take Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take Colorado just because I can't bet on them. But I agree, Texas Tech is a fade team in this game. You know, we love fading teams off emotional wins. So big win for Texas Tech. Colorado's had a bye, so I'm going to go a different avenue because I do think Colorado is the right play. I can't bet on them. I can't bet them. So I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over of 62.5 here. Texas Tech is more than capable of scoring. Colorado has no defense. We all know Colorado can put up some massive points too. So I love the over at 62.5, one of the highest on the board, but I can see each team scoring 30 points, no problem. I could easily see both teams getting in the 40s. I could see a shootout. Again, not a whole lot of defense in these Big 12 teams here. So I'm going to take the over just because I can't bet Colorado. I agree with you. I do think they're the right side here, but I'm going to take a shot on the total. So I don't love taking totals, especially on this show. My record's not great when I do it, but I do have a couple. Today. So this is probably my favorite total. Again, I'm just finding lack of defense and a lot of offense here. So I'm going to take a shot, but I do agree. Go ahead.
Flip me to it. Put me on the
The over?
over.
Okay.
Yep.
I
Yep.
love it. Death taxes and Colorado doesn't play shit on defense. So,
Yep. I like it.
okay. I love it. And it allows us to not have to bet on Colorado.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, there we go. Moving on to a ranked matchup, we have number 11 Alabama at number 15 LSU. Both teams off of buys. Alabama is a 3-point favorite on the road. Over under of this game is at 58. This is a really tough one for me. This is a really tough game. I don't know if I trust LSU at all. They are coming off a loss again, a bye, but a loss to Texas A&M, where they got spanked by 58 points. And then Alabama, just coming off again a bye, but before that a 34-0 win against Missouri, who lost their quarterback in that game. So beat the frauds of Missouri, also without their quarterback. So don't freak out at that line because that is a little over dramatic there. But I'm really having trouble with this game. Seeing 66% of the bets coming in on Bama. These two teams have battled in the recent years. They play every single year. Alabama won last year, 28 or 42-28. The year before was at LSU again, like it is today or Saturday, where LSU won on that 2-point conversion, winning that game 32-31. I literally have no idea. Like I couldn't. I literally this is my least confident at all of all the games. I'm gonna take a shot on. I'm gonna take a shot on Bama at the -3. I think they're the better team. I can't like Colorado, can't put money on Brian Kelly. So I'm gonna take a shot on Bama. I simply because I think they're the better team, and it's not a great choice. I will have a bet on this game. I just don't know what it is going to be come kickoff. But right now, I'll take Bama. I know I'm talking in circles here. This game literally is a coin flip to me. So gonna trust that Bama's better, which I don't even know that they are. But give me Bama on the spread.
Yeah, I'm bummed you had to bring up the LSU overtime win because Fireball and live betting made that one of my biggest single game losses in the history of my betting life. So that was not a fun result for me. Um, yeah, gosh, that was bad. I'm with you. I lean Bama. But yeah, I'm not super confident either. I'll just keep this one pretty short. It's just very similar to Georgia. Bama already has the two losses. They cannot afford a third. I see them in the playoff. So I do think they win out the rest of their regular season schedule and get into the playoff there. So, for that reason, where it's basically, again, LSU could easily cover the three, Bama gets the win. But when you're basically just guessing who the winner is going to be, I just don't see LSU winning this game outright. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Bama. I know LSU needs it too. They also have two losses after their Texas A&M loss, but just got to go with the side of history. I know Bama's had LSU's number over the last 15 years or however long that's been. So I'm going to take Bama. Honestly, I don't hate a Georgia Bama just money line parlay if you want to look at it that way. If you want action on both ranked games, don't even have the points involved. Obviously, both could lose. One could lose, but that's probably how I'd play it if I wanted action in those two ranked games.
Yeah, that's probably a decent play there. I actually don't hate that at all. I might get involved in that. Then our final game of the evening, a fishy line, and I'm going to send this one to you first. We have Oklahoma at number 24, Missouri. Oklahoma is a 3-point favorite on the road. Over under sitting at 41.5. Who do you got in this game?
Yeah, again, just not one that I love. Is Brady Cook out?
Says he's questionable. I
Yeah,
am.
he probably plays, I guess. It's tough. If Cook plays, I like Oklahoma. If Cook's out, I probably like Missouri. Um, so I'm going to guess that he's going to play. I'll take Oklahoma minus the 3. The weird line, 5-4 on the road, 6-2 Missouri, who is ranked still currently. Yeah, I mean, same thing with Oklahoma, kind of like Kansas. They've just had a disappointing season, worse than what they expected. And at this point, they really have nothing more to do except just play spoiler to Missouri, Alabama, and LSU to wrap up their SEC schedule, their first year in the SEC. So, yeah, I'll lean on Oklahoma. Again, I'm going to have to see what happens with Cook to really get a good feel on this game. But in the spoiler role, obviously you and I not super high in Missouri as is. Um, yeah, I'll take a small lean on Oklahoma minus the points. If Cook is out though, that might flip me to Missouri.
Yeah, make sure again we record on Thursday, so make sure you do check out injury reports and whatnot come closer to kickoff. But yeah, I'm right there with you on Oklahoma at the -3. For some reason, people are back in Missouri. This team is very very bad. 74% of the bets I'm seeing on Mizzou. Yeah, I got to trust the ugly here again. The same, pretty much the identical reason for me in the Kansas game. People jumping on Iowa State because they're the ranked team, small favorite. People jumping on Missouri now because they're the ranked team as a home dog. It's just not super pretty to pick a Oklahoma team. I know Oklahoma just won 59-14 last weekend, but they played Maine, so don't don't let that fool you. Oklahoma is still very bad. Yeah, and you got to check the Brady Cook injury status because that is a huge determining factor of this game. For the same reasoning though, I like your thought process. If he is playing, probably going to jump on Oklahoma because this line will probably get closer to a pick 'em. And I don't think, even if it is Brady Cook, I don't think one player should move a line that much, even if it is a starting quarterback. So I agree with you. I'm going to take Oklahoma on the spread here. But yeah, hopefully you guys can dive into the board a little better than we just did there. But again, we're seeing it, I guess, pretty decent on Thursdays. Important news: we do have our first college basketball show coming out today as well. So we have 3 ranked matchups this weekend in college basketball, 1 on Friday, 2 on Thursday. We will have a prediction on Friday's game and then a sneak preview and our leans on Saturday's game. So make sure you do check that out on Better and Green, and make sure you also check out our NFL show. We have our UFC MMA show, NBA and NHL shows as well. So we have everything over here at Better and Green for any sport that you guys want. So make sure you do check it out, like, subscribe, and share. We really appreciate it over on YouTube channel. Ethan, do you have anything to add before we sign out here for week 11?
Yeah, let's no, you said everything. Let's just make this weekend another profitable one for our college football show. And yeah, good luck to everyone out there who's tailing or fading.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can make some money, and we will see you. We might be live this weekend for college football NFL, so we will see you then. If not, we'll see you next Friday. See you guys.
You better start listening to the Better and Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? Listening and cash out, that's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top, hey. Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better and Green.